Welcome to the Tuesday, August 25th, 2026 regular meeting of the Troutdale City Council. We've had a summer break and we had a great summer, but back to work, folks. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask Carol to lead us, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Sarah, please call the roll.
Sure. Counselor Andrews.
Here.
Counselor Allen.
Here.
Counselor One.
Present.
Counselor White.
Here.
Counselor Davidson.
Here.
Counselor Leamy.
Here. Here. All right. Mike, is there an agenda update?
Yes, there was a request to add a reconsideration of the Kiwanis sponsorship in accordance with budget line item 8211, and I thought if we can add it to the end of the agenda or under section 6.
Okay, we'll take that up then. This is the Kiwanis cruising. All right. Moving on to agenda item number 2, it's public comment. Public comment on non-agenda and consent agenda items is welcome at this time. Public comment on agenda items will be taken at the time the item is considered. Public comment should be directed to the presiding officer and limited to matters of community interest or related to matters which may or could come before council. Each speaker shall be limited to 5 minutes for each agenda item, unless a different amount of time is allowed by the presiding officer with the consent of the council. The council and mayor should avoid immediate or protracted responses to citizen comments. So I'll first see if there's anyone participating online via Zoom that wants to make public comment at this time.
Mayor Whitmouth, Paul Wilcox, Troutdale.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Okay. I sent some type corrections to Sarah, but so you should have those in hand already. There's a couple of things I want to address in the minutes from 526 within the text itself. This is one of those situations where I think that the transcription is fairly accurate, but what was stated, I kind of question. So I'll be referring to page 5, large paragraph in the middle of the page. Starts with Dakota Meyer. About halfway into that paragraph, it says they have to choose, referring to developers in the Halsey order, they have to choose at least 4 items from the community benefits list. And then farther down toward the end of the paragraph, talks about if they do 65% parking, it counts as 2. So you'd actually only have 3 total benefits. And the other item is in that last sentence in the paragraph, it states, so staff changed it one more time in number 7 to state that if a developer provides 65% of the minimum required parking listed, then that counts as 2 on the community benefits list. There was actually an additional change that's not reflected in the minutes, which was the 75% parking, which accounts for all 4 benefits. So count that single choice satisfies the requirement for 4 items. So that's just what I had to cover. Thanks.
Okay, so you're saying 75%, developer provides 75%, it fulfills all 4 requirements? Is that what you said?
Yes, that's right.
you, Paul. Anyone else online? How about here in the room? This is time for public comment. Please come forward and state your name and the city where you live.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've never done this before. Should I stand up there or stay?
You don't have to stand, just sit right here in front if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, no, I don't want. Hey, everybody, my name is Mike Allen. I've lived in Troutdale for about 29 years. I am a practicing herbalist. I do not have an office or anything like that. This is in regards to Kiku Park, down there off of Harlow. Be advised, Kiku Park is loaded with tons of medicinal herbs that are very, very quick and very healthy down there. Like I said, I've lived here for many years and I've been practicing for many years. Earlier in this year, I went down to pick up some what we call cleavers, and I noticed they had polluted everything down there with insecticides and stuff. My concern is this: obviously, if it's got insecticides on it, I cannot harvest my herbs. It's very important because I've harvested so long now. Like I say, about 29 years. All of a sudden, I can't touch any things down there. I would simply like to bring that to your attention that there's too many very valuable herbs down there that are very healthy and very good for you. I would appreciate it if we can, I would like to be notified when you're gonna do that, or is there any way that I could be advised before you do that to that beautiful park, that I can go harvest my herbs if it's in season before that happens? Again, I do want to reiterate, and I'm not going to kick a dead horse, but there's some very good herbal medicine down there that are getting destroyed because of this pesticide. And I will do anything I can to we can work together on that. And that's all I have, my good friends, okay? And I do got to say thank you for your time and allowing us here.
Thank you. Well, thank you. It sounds like there's good things down there, and
Oh, yeah.
probably the sprayers don't know anything about it. So we'll try to, we'll see what we can do.
Okay. Now, in regards to that, being as I am new at this, I would like to know, should I leave I did leave my address. Okay, you got all the information then. Okay, thank you again.
Yes, well, thank you. Anyone else? Adrian, please.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, my name is Adrian Kester, a Troutdale resident. I serve as the chair of the CAC, but speaking tonight as a private citizen. I have some concerns about the seemingly chronic delays in the release of the Champion newsletter of late. There's a lot of good information, a lot of good time-sensitive information in those publications, and a lot of that doesn't do any good if it comes out weeks late. So whatever, I don't know if there's something in that contract or something we can do as a city to make those releases a little more timely. But there's a lot of events, meetings, Parks and Rec events, recycling pickups at Public Works that frequently people miss just because the Champion comes out late. So that was all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand the city getting a new software program for the Champion. Is that right?
We did change software programs. We were doing PageMaker and then we transferred back to InDesign. But I think we have a plan for a transition to move it over and have Kevin kind of take the lead on this in the future. Right now, it's still in Kelly is one handling it, but we're going to try to transition it and take it off her plate in the near future. So.
Anyway, we're working on it. Please, get your hand up.
Of course, I have comments on everything that's been said so far. I I do understand we're gonna discuss the Stark Street Bridge at some point. That was on the agenda.
Yes, that's on the agenda. If you want to speak on that, you can speak at that time.
Okay, so again, I've not done this either.
Okay, just ask it, state your name and the city where you live.
Vivian Garner, I live in Troutdale, Oregon. I've lived in my home, well, I rented before that, but I've lived in my home for 30 years. 30, same place. And so I've watched Troutdale just blossom, I've watched it grow, I've seen some difficulties, and it seems I adore, personally, the city of Troutdale. There are some concerns. For example, the gentleman who brought up pesticides. I'm actually working with someone at Gresham to help, because our water is phenomenal. At least in my house it is, and we're on groundwater. And there's all this craziness going on in Gresham about their new groundwater, so I'm going to be working with them and see if we can figure out the difference so people can, which would be nice. So my concern in terms of pesticides is that is a known fact that pesticides causes neurological damage to human beings. I know that because I was diagnosed with ALS almost 7 years ago, and miraculously, I can still gesture and speak. I don't know the exact number, I'd have to look it up again, but at least 70% of all insecticides work. How do they work? They attack the neurological system of the insect. And we're eating it. So, I stay away from it as well. My concerns are the city of Gresham and the residents need to understand that when they're spraying this stuff, guess where it's going? It's going into our water, Troutdale water. We're down the hill. It's the way biology works. So I think that there should be some sort of joint effort. I'm happy to step into that. If anybody wants to give me information, that would be great. So, was there one other thing that I was thinking about? This is my assistant here, she helps me. No, okay. Anyway, I think that was probably most important. And if I think of the other one again, I'll ask for your time. Thank you
Fair
very much.
enough. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, thanks.
Hi, my name is Chrissy Dorn. I'm Dalvin's wife. We've been living here for 29 years in Troutdale. I just have 3 quick comments. The first one also has to do with water. There was a very watched, I'm a moderator on an app called Nextdoor, and it was one of the most commented on comments in the entire app about, and I don't know if it's true or not, but that we have gone from run water to well water. And that was the first thing I wanted to do. The second one was, I don't understand why my bill for water was $29.45 and my sewer was almost $60. And I don't get that. So I would like to comment that something's wrong there, because we didn't fill up our pool this year because water has gotten so expensive. But I understand and I agree with the fire and police thing. I get that. I'm all behind that. I'm 150% behind that. I want our police back. I want 100%, and I think most people do. Again, I'm a moderator on Nextdoor, so I'm on there constantly, and I am listening, and I am paying attention to what the people of Troutdale are chiming in with, all the neighborhoods and stuff. Anyway, and then I don't know what a safe fee is. I think that I brought my water bill here. I don't know what some of the stuff is on our bills, but that sewer thing is insane. That was twice my actual water bill for the sewer. I mean, I don't know if whatever it is, if we could just maybe explain this stuff better, put a little addendum in or something that says, here's why your water bill is ridiculous. because it ends up being like $125 when my actual water bill was $29.45. Okay, and then, so there's Bull Run, that one, and I think that was it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, seriously concerned about some of these bill things, because everybody we're all having a tough time, we're all in it together. And we love Troutdale. We have loved living here for almost 30 years. And also, that post that I was talking about showed where they had sprayed their garden, and you can see the white on their plants all over in their garden from Troutdale water. And this was like right by my house. And I was like, holy mackerel, because we normally don't have an issue with our water. And I mean, I always use a Brita pitcher, but holy mackerel. I mean, I don't think anybody wants that. If people are putting that on their foodstuffs, somebody said it might be minerals, somebody said it might be this, it might be that, it might be this, but if that's just a regular Joe citizen that posted a bunch of pictures from their own garden saying this is what's coming out of our hose onto our plants. And they were spraying their tomatoes and their strawberries and their different foodstuffs that they were growing in their backyard. And so that's why I'm here tonight, because I am that concerned. And I also want to know about the sewer thing. What's going on with that? So those were my concerns. And I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please.
Don't need to come to my house to drink the water. It's easy.
Off for now, since my eyes. Good evening, all of you. My name is Dwayne Ramos. I am a Troutdale resident. Been here about 18 years. I'm here with the Troutdale champion. I just have some curiosity about the proposed levy regarding the fire and EMS and police department. I'm sure it's going to be a hot topic for a little while here. I would have been here last month when the proposed levy was considered, but as that gentleman pointed out, I didn't get this until after the council meeting. And so if my questions could have been answered last month, I apologize, but I didn't know about this proposed levy. Apparently over the next 4 years, it's going to cost Troutdale, Fairview, and Wood Village about another $3 million for our protective services. And my question is, there are 4 proposed options listed here on the newspaper. And perhaps this was answered last month, but my curiosity is, if the citizens of Troutdale are being asked to pay another $400 to $600 a year on their property tax, and that's, of course, in addition to the 3% that Multnomah County imposes. How do we know what that total cost is going to be over the next 4 years if an option hasn't been decided upon? It's like going to the store, having written your checkbook out, but not knowing what you're going to buy. And so perhaps you know the answer to that. I don't. But I am curious as to how we can confidently say yes or no to a proposed levy if we don't know exactly how the money is going to be directed, into what service model the city would like to go with. And I understand that it's very complicated, more than I could probably grasp. But given how much it's costing me per, on my property tax, which is gonna be hard to accommodate, I'd just like to know how these studies came to that amount of $3 million if we don't know what we're spending it on. Perhaps one of you can answer that question right now.
Is the $3 million the delta between what our property taxes are versus what the public safety is costing us?
Proposed by 2030.
Yes. Correct. So that's the public safety levy.
Correct.
Right. It's to cover the delta between the property tax revenue that we generate versus the cost of what our contracts are allocated through 2030. And our hope is that we can get to a fire district at some point, and that takes out that $3.5 million and puts it into its own fire district. And then that levy could go away, and then we would have a fire district running its own.
So you're saying that that additional $3 billion is to cover our contract with the city of Gresham?
So we have three contracts technically. We have City of Gresham at 3.5 going up to 4.5 over the next 5 years.
Okay.
We have County Sheriff's currently at 5.7 going up to
Something.
yeah. And then we have BOEC, which is our 911 service, which is currently about 890,000 going up to like 1.5 or so million by the end of the 5 years. So everything is going up faster than our property taxes are able to keep up. So we're seeing a delta every year grow. And so right now that delta is about $2 million. That's that public safety fee that you see on your sewer. That public safety fee that you saw on your sewer pays down that delta to zero. So then we're paying all of our property tax plus that $25 to cover those contracts.
Okay, so the options stated here, these 4 options, would not take effect until 2030. The options for service models. These 4 here.
Yeah, unless we can make it happen earlier, right? So if you can make it happen earlier, then technically the contract would go away and the levy would go away.
So the city of Gresham is okay with us canceling the contract prior to 2030?
So our contract with Gresham goes through 2030, but if we got into a fire district 1, fire district 10, or created a new fire district, then that contract would have to be negotiated through that fire district for those fire services, or that fire district could create its own fire service.
Okay.
With the levy revenue for their district.
All right, so on the ballot measure that we're being asked to say yes or no to, does it specifically state that this levy will only go through 2030?
It's a 5-year levy. So I think it would start, I think it actually goes through 2031. I think it's 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Sorry, that's your time.
So there is a time limit on that levy?
Yeah, it's a 5-year operation levy. All those funds would go straight to public safety.
I see. Okay. All right, well, it was a shock when I got my paper here, so.
I'll try to, on the next one, I'll also try to elaborate a little bit more on that so that we can try to address some of the questions that have been brought forth that we've seen on social media.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time, thank you.
Yes, we put the levy to the voters because we need the money, even if we don't just keep the same services we have now.
If the
We're
voter,
in need of additional money, and the voters can say yes or no.
if they know what happens.
The sewer fee that you see would probably keep.
We're imposing a fee on everybody's water and sewer bill now to make up the loss, or as Mike says, a delta. But in the end, we wanted to give the voters a chance to vote yea or or nay on whether to impose this additional, it's a funding levy that's good, it's just good for 5 years. And see if there's any support for doing it that way rather than a fee.
It would allow us to remove the fee then from the sewer bill. And the luxury of or the benefit of that would be a property tax is technically tax deductible. So there's some,
We'll see on that one,
yeah, there's some opportunities there to,
Okay. And then as I leave, will there be future discussion at the council regarding restoring our Troutdale Police Department?
It's in fact on the agenda of tonight's meeting is a discussion of a town hall that we're going to have in October that will be devoted to public safety, both police and the fire issue. It would be on a council night, but it would be a town hall for as many Troutdale citizens as want to come. And we'll try to answer the questions that you're asking, good questions. That is coming up in October.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Thank you.
So, yeah, stick around if you're.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, please.
Nick Steino, I live in Troutdale. Just a quick comment on the levy that you guys are proposing. I don't think it's gonna pass, and the reason I say that is because of this safe fee you guys put on the water. If you would've waited on that safe fee and didn't ask the voters about it, as I expressed that earlier in these meetings, I just have a feeling that that's not gonna pass because you guys determine that safe fee, you can reinstate it, even if this levy passes, and you can increase it, like you just said, the water department. That's my only comment. I just wish you guys would have waited on the safe fee, then the levy that might have passed, but personally, I don't think it will because of the amount of money. That amount of money increases every year with your property taxes too. So it's just not, it's a lot. Thank you.
Understood. Anyone else? Public comment. Want to make another one?
I just
Just
have,
come forward and,
thank you again for listening to me. I was just in regard, I'm sorry, sir, what?
if you want to make a public comment, just come forward. You're an old hand at this now. You've done it.
Hi, everybody. My good friends. This is more just a kind of a follow-up on what I just asked about that. In regards to that, is there any way, can you tell me how I will be notified, what process, or are you guys going to deliberate on that issue? I'm just kind of curious, if I don't see nothing happen, what do I do? You know, that kind of situation. How are you guys going to get a hold of me? Is that a fair question? And do you understand my question?
Which thing are you talking about?
Sir, I'm regarding the herbs in Kiku Park. They're very good medicinal herbs down there, as I mentioned, and I would like to stay on top of that because I do help myself, my family, and neighbors with medicines, herbal medicines, should they inquire about something. So I'm kind of just following up on it. How would you guys get a hold of me? Are you going to give me a letter, or are you going to come back next month? It's just an easy question.
yeah, I'm gonna take your question to my staff
Okay.
and find out what transpired.
Okay.
And I think we have your contact information there.
Sure.
And see if there's some mechanism or means in which we can notify. Do you live in and around the Kiko Park area then?
I do. I live
So
up
would
on,
you get a notice if you're within like 250 feet or?
I don't think I'm within
You're not that
250 feet, yeah. I live on Harlow, so I'm really close to it.
All right.
Walking distance anyway.
I'll see what I can do based on, I'll pull your address and I'll talk with my staff and see what we can do to make sure that we get you notice if we're gonna be doing insecticide or spray or anything else down there.
That would be wonderful. Thanks again, everybody.
Sure.
Good day to you.
Mayor, will you excuse me 1 minute?
Sure.
I have a report that some audio is struggling, so I'm just gonna put my head back here real quick.
Make sure the audio is working.
Evidently on TV, they're not able to, it's just a hum.
Oh, dear. All right, hang on, folks. We're, sounded like, well, the only, Wilcox made public comment on,
Right, yeah, it's on mine.
He isn't.
The email I got was,
is it fixed?
I just notified him he's gonna check his, head down at the district and see how their signals process.
All right. Well, we'll proceed. I assume it's still.
Zoom's working fine, because I checked my audio and it's coming through on my audio here, so.
no, it's just the television.
It's television, so.
All right, well, we're, I'll close public comment then, if there's no more, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. Carol?
3.1, I would like to make a motion that we accept the May 26, 2026 council regular meeting and June 9, 2026 council meeting, regular meeting notes.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Oh, I guess I'll have you call the roll. Excuse me, I forgot we were doing it that way.
Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Counselor One?
Yes.
Mayor Whitman?
Yes.
Counselor White?
Yes.
Counselor Davidson?
Yes.
Counselor Leamy?
Yes.
Counselor Andrews?
All right. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 4, an update on the Stark Street Bridge Replacement Project.
Hi, everyone. Good to see everyone again. My name is Megan Neal. I'm with Multnomah County Transportation. I'm an engineering services manager there, and with me today is...
Hi, good evening. Ryan Rucker. I'm an engineer with Multnomah County in the Bridge Shop.
Yeah, so we're really excited to come back to this group and provide an update on this Stark Street Bridge Replacement Project. We were here in May, and we just kind of want to share what we've been up to, some key advancements in the project they're about to share with the public imminently, and answer any questions you may have. So on the next slide, just as a reminder of what we talked about in May, we were just kicking off the project, so we're really presenting the purpose and need of the project, the location, the context, why the county feels like this is a really important project to invest time and energy in. And we shared a lot of the issues we're having with truck traffic turning onto the bridge and some of the emergency repair projects you might have been familiar with. And then also we're sharing an upcoming survey that we were putting out in the community to kind of understand how the community is using this bridge and what is of interest to them. So we're back to you today. On the next slide, we want to share the results of the survey and outreach that we did, share with you today a draft recommendation of the design option we feel like is the best solution for this location and bridge, and then also share another outreach opportunity that's going to go live here, we feel, next week, asking the public what they think. So before we want to jump into that, I just want to provide a couple brief recaps of some basics of the project. On the next slide, just generally the purpose and need. Built in 1914, this bridge is over 100 years old. It doesn't really meet the current safety needs of the community, like how much weight it can carry, the width, and also just the burden of an aging infrastructure in the county system. And we're really looking for an opportunity to build a new, safe, seismically resilient bridge in this crossing that will really just be overall generally what the community needs for the next 100 years. On the next slide, just a brief overview of where we are with our current schedule in the current phase, which is the environmental review phase. As I mentioned, we kicked off the project last fall and spring with just getting the word out there about why this project is important to the community. Then in the spring, we worked on developing a range of options to evaluate for a solution here, and solicited feedback from the community on how, what should we take into consideration. We're now here in the summer, presenting on that design recommendation, and then this coming fall and winter, we hope to finalize that recommendation, wrap up the environmental review phase, and continue to seek funding for future phases. As a reminder, we only have funding for the current phase. So presumably, if we were to get funded, we could start design as early as 2028 and construction as 2031. But of course, it's all dependent on funding. On the next slide, just to share a little bit of who we've been talking to, we've really tried to hit many of the local communities around the bridge. So we've been to a lot of tabling and briefing events in Corbett, Gresham, Troutdale, Wood Village, Fairview, as well as some of the advisory committees in the area, the historic Columbia River Highway, both Friends and Advisory Committee, and of course all the Troutdale council meetings and community meetings. A little bit on the next slide, what we heard from the survey. We're very excited to get about 450 responses, and an overwhelmingly amount of the people who took the survey used the bridge on a weekly basis. Almost half of the respondents use the bridge daily. So we're really excited to hear from people who use the bridge. They're direct stakeholders. And what we heard largely on the next slide, if we were to kind of wrap it up in some key themes, we heard a lot about issues with the bridge being so narrow. So a lot of the reasons why we are doing this project in the first place, concerns about traffic delays, safety, both with bikes, peds, and vehicles, and then a small percentage have not experienced any issues. So just to kind of give you a flavor of what we were hearing through this survey. And then now I'll hand over to Ryan, and he'll dive into our draft recommendation for design option.
Thank you. Yes. So to kind of go over the draft recommended design option, based on the feedback from the community during the survey and some of the key findings that we got from the historic baseline review, the county recommends the option of preserving the existing bridge and building a new seismically resilient bridge downstream, as you can see in the image on the screen. Next slide. So the county understands that the community has a strong connection with the existing bridge. It's a part of the city of Troutdale and this region. The county also values the community's input and voice, and we feel that this recommended option reflects what we heard from that survey and from a lot of the outreach events that we went to. And this includes, the strong support for preserving the existing bridge. The other idea with this is that the existing bridge would be open to bicyclists, people that are walking around this area, and it would avoid the impact of the historic resource of the bridge. And this would kind of invite more people to be on the existing bridge, kind of taking in the beauty of the river in the local area. Next slide. Okay, gonna jump into some images here. So this first one shows the cross-section of the roadway of the existing bridge. As you can see, just a 2-lane road, 9'6" wide on each lane, which is significantly smaller than your typical lane that you would see on a newer roadway. And then the 4-foot sidewalk that was built after the fact, when the bridge was constructed. And then we'll move over to the new bridge. Next slide. So you can see here, significantly wider. You have your typical 12-foot lanes for your vehicular traffic. You will have a 6-foot bike lane on either side of the bridge, and then a 10-foot sidewalk that would serve pedestrians going either way, north and south. So you can see here, significantly wider by 30 feet, essentially double the bridge that you have now. Sorry, next slide. You're good. So we're going to go into some renderings. This is just to kind of give you a visual aspect of what the new bridge will look like next to the existing. So this is on the roadway looking north on the new bridge. I give everyone a few seconds.
That's why you did just sidewalk on the south side and not both sides?
I don't know what the rationale was behind it. I think it was to tie to the existing bridge because there's a walkway that we're proposing that would go from the roadway to the existing bridge, and this would tie in and then reduce impacts of building a sidewalk that would connect on the other side. All right, next slide. And here we have an aerial view. This is just showing the new bridge on the south or the bottom of the visual here and the existing bridge up above. You can see from this view a much wider turning radius for vehicles coming on and off of the bridge to the historic highway. Next slide. Again, here is the north approach of the new bridge. Just trying to show the visual, that wider turning radius, much more improved view east and west for traffic. Next slide. And lastly, a view from the river, just trying to give a visual aspect of those river users, what they'll see when they're moving downstream. With the existing bridge first and then the new bridge to the west of it. All right, so next we're going to jump into some of the evaluation of the range of options. So we looked at a myriad of options. We wanted to do our due diligence, make sure that we made the best selection. There were some options that didn't quite meet the criteria of the purpose and need of the project. Those options were doing nothing, so essentially leaving the bridge as it is, and retrofitting the existing bridge. These two options kind of circled around the seismic resiliency of the project. If we did nothing, or if we did the retrofit, those would be, they would be vulnerable to a seismic event, which would leave us with only the I-84 crossing to be able to get east and west for the local community. The last option that we did not seem was feasible was building a new bridge at a different location. This had to do a lot with cost impacts to the local community.
I'll just add on to Ryan's comment about the retrofit. We found that it just, given the narrow width of the existing bridge and the cost to widen it and improve the foundations, it just didn't seem like the best cost-effective solution for this project. So that's just one additional note I wanted to add to what Ryan was saying.
Thank you. Next slide. The options that we felt best met the project goals and community needs. The first option was to demolish the existing bridge and construct a new and wider bridge along the same alignment. And the second option was to preserve the existing bridge and construct a new wider bridge for all users next to the existing bridge, as we spoke to a few slides ago. Next slide. So with that, because the existing bridge is eligible for the National Historic Register and is a contributing resource to the historic Columbia River Highway District, we found that it would be highly unlikely that the county would receive Federal Highways approval to demolish the existing bridge. So with that, we came to the conclusion that the best option, preserving the existing bridge and constructing a new bridge downstream, is the most reasonable and feasible option that meets the project's purpose and need.
And I will add also to what Ryan said is, in a similar vein, this conclusion from the baseline study also ruled out the retrofit or made it very unlikely just because it would significantly impact a historic resource to the point that, again, like a demolition project would not be approved by federal highways. Not likely. Okay.
And with that, I'll hand it back to Megan.
Oh yeah, okay, just a couple more slides and we'd love to hear your questions. Just want to share that we're going to take a lot of the information that we presented today, we have a little bit more elaboration on it and share it out with the community in an online open house with an accompanying survey. We plan to launch it by the end of this week or early next, so we'd love to, we are connecting with social media staff to make sure we get the word out on the survey and link. And we're seeking feedback on this recommend option. And not only that, will we have the online survey, we'll be kind of out there promoting it through tabling, briefings, other in-person events. We'll have a virtual webinar, some in-person open houses at Corbett and Troutdale, as well as social media. So we really want to hear from the community what they think and kind of get their gut reaction on this proposal. And then on the next slide, our next steps is we will take in the feedback we receive, assess if it's supportive of the recommended design option. If so, we finalize the recommendation and then complete the environmental review phase, which we anticipate running through spring of next year. And then, as I mentioned, we do not have funds for future phases, so we'll continue to pursue funding opportunities as they arise and also just continue to raise awareness in the community of the importance of this critical regional project. So this will likely be the last time we'll come to you and present about this project unless there's some major changes based on the feedback we're hearing. So, but of course, we're always happy to come back in general if you have any questions about how the project is progressing. So thank you. With that, we'll just open it up to any questions you may have.
All right, thank you. I'll just say, delighted that the plan is to not tear down the historic bridge. It is rather important to Troutdale, at least I think so, and I think people here do, but it does see, and your outlining seems to needs for the traffic improvements that are really needed. Anyway, that's my comment, but how about anybody else on council? John?
Have you had contact with the people on the south end of the bridge about property sale or?
Yeah,
they just bought that?
Yeah, we reached out to the property owner, the new property owner. You know, it's been a light touch. We're still working on some more intense engagement, but we shared all this information with him before we came here tonight. So yeah, we're eagerly looking forward to connect with him so we can better understand how this project might impact his property and understand early mitigation ideas.
Anyone else? John, go ahead, Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, I just I had that question too about the property across, so I'm glad you asked that. As far as the design goes, I know there's a lot of comments on complementing the historic bridge that's already there versus making it just look like a highway overpass in the middle of a beautiful scenic area. So it sounds like we're still gathering feedback on design qualities, or was that essentially the render of what the design is meant to look like?
So this is just an early concept, you know, really capture the essence of the solution. There's a lot of work still to be done in the design phase, and in addition to that, engagement with the community about the specific design of the bridge. We do know, though, at this time that we will have to take into account the gorge scenic area land use requirements, which talk about a lot of times new structures being visually subordinate to the surrounding areas. I don't think we can do something big or flashy here. That's why we're showing something very, nothing with structure above the decks. But to answer your question, we have a lot more work to do and a lot more engagement with the community on the final design of the bridge.
The counselor's question, is there some sort of aesthetics that you can do to enhance the look, bring it more into compliance with what we see typically crossing the Columbia River Gorge and the Sandy River, like add some pillars or some art or some nice aesthetic features?
Absolutely. I think that's actually part of the gorge scenic land use process, is ensuring that there's actually an aesthetic guideline for the gorge. So I think we also have to comply with that. And that's where you kind of see that on a lot of the I-84 bridges that go out to the gorge. That design guideline was implemented on those projects. So the color, the shape, the materials, to kind of blend into the gorge background. That will apply to us as well. So I think there is opportunity to take into account those finer details in the design phase.
And just one more question I had was, you had mentioned a couple different reasons for the retrofit not necessarily panning out. You mentioned monetary. I'm not sure what that data looks like as far as the cost effectiveness, but it sounds like that wouldn't matter anyway because you don't think you'd be able to do it based on the historical regulations. Is that correct?
Correct. I appreciate you picking that up. Yeah, typically with retrofits, you spend the same money as you would on a new bridge. So when I say cost effective and good stewardship of public funds, generally it's always best to use those dollars for a new structure.
Thank you. I know it's not in our town, but we care a great deal about that road. Call ourselves the gateway of the Lord out here. So thank you for taking the time. You know, when I see those old pictures of the bridge, it's compared to the new bridge, it really is quite stark in comparison. And, you know, I don't really think doing a survey is the best approach to making a major decision like that. It tells me, you know, the Troutdale Bridge was built about the same time, Sandy River. So would that be your solution to do that? Save that bridge and build another one downstream?
Are you talking specifically about the Troutdale Bridge here downtown? Yeah. That one's actually owned by ODOT, so we don't have jurisdiction over that. But they're twins. These bridges were built around the same time and are the same style.
And then there's the bridge, the railroad bridge, which carries the weight of a train, and it's very similar construction. So it's hard for me to. I'm not an engineer. I don't know how many kibs that thing can hold, but it seems like it's pretty sound. Train. So it's like, to me, the best solution, probably most aesthetically pleasing one, is do similar to what they do with the Troutdale Bridge. We used to have that same 4-foot walkway, and most bicyclists use the bridge. They increased it to 10 feet not too long ago. You hardly notice. I think anybody would think that's the way the bridge was originally built. Such a good job. And just fix the approach, you know, and if you need to beef that bridge up, I doubt. I'd be really surprised. It's not like there's a lot of heavy loads going across that bridge. The seismic thing, I don't know about. Probably gonna lose all 3 bridges if that happens, you know.
That is true. We're hoping this potential new bridge would last all of the bridges and serve the transportation needs post-earthquake when that happens. Yeah. So it's interesting that we have these graphics of 2 bridges, but at the end of the day, 100 years from now, there's likely just be 1 bridge standing.
Well, I just wanted to get that in for the record. Thank you.
Questions? Carol?
So you had said that you won't be coming and presenting yet. When would we know what that looks like? What is the new bridge really going to look like? And
when we'll be back when we have funding for the next phase, which we are waiting to hear about an earmark request from the FY27 congressional session. So we could hear that as early as October. I mean, my understanding is the deadline is October 1st. So should we be successful, we'll be back. And if we're not successful, you know, maybe there's a way the county can take the bridge design to 30% and pause. Perhaps we have funds for that. But so that's what I meant. I'm sorry that we would not be back here. We would if this project continues to move forward.
And you made a comment of it would be 1 bridge in 100 years. I would sure hope that the older bridges can be preserved for our future generations. I think it's really important that, although I may not be here in 100 years, but my great-great-grandchildren will be, and I would love them to know the history of Troutdale and where they have grown up and enjoy the historical landmarks that we have today. I would hope that we would preserve that for the future.
Okay. Make one request to your first question. Could we pull the slide deck back up? There was one more slide, and it has our website, which I think would be great for online users and the people in the crowd if they want to get those updates or get our newsletter, things like that, so they can check on the status.
Meantime, other questions from the council? Carol, were you?
I'm done, thank you.
Yeah, so if you're interested, starkstreetbridge.org is where you can sign up for our newsletter. You can see updates, things like that, so you can check on it if we don't come back in the near future. Yeah.
We also developed a project logo, which strangely looks exactly like that photo on the left, looking in a different direction, but just noticing that now. But we're hoping to present to the community a project logo at this round of outreach.
Very good, thank you. Just in case there's public comment, I will open up public comment. These could be questions for you, so I'll start with online. Anyone online wish to address the representatives of the county about the Stark Street Bridge project? And not seeing anyone here in the room. Anyone? I'll start over here.
Just a quick question. If you're gonna make the old bridge pedestrian and cycle, why do we need a sidewalk and bike paths on the new bridge to save money? Just, they wouldn't use both. So that would create a lesser cost of the bridge, right?
Yeah, I think it gets back to the long-term, wanting this bridge to be another 100-year solution for this location.
In case the other one falls down.
So the earthquake, the big one, could happen anytime, could be tomorrow. So we're thinking that over the next 100 years, the earthquake would happen. And if we don't retrofit our historic structures, that structure would fall in the water and no longer be of service. So that leaves them the newer bridge to provide the bicycle and pedestrian facilities.
Thank you.
And yes, you had a question.
I actually would kind of like to make a little speech about it if I could.
Yeah, well, come on up.
Would you like me to do that?
No, please come up and state your name and the city where you live. And they'll be listening.
Okay. So my name is Dennis Tokstad, and I live the second house from the Stark Street Bridge, and some of our other neighbors have come tonight. As part of the outreach program of the project, none of the neighbors were contacted about this bridge project. And we've only recently heard about it through other people initially in Corbett that contacted us and talked to us about it. I'm a retired engineer with 46 years registration in the state of Oregon. I really can acknowledge the issues associated with the bridge project and everything that's involved in the planning of it. But the critical things that haven't been talked about that we've heard, at least so far, is that the neighbors that live by the bridge are dramatically affected by the traffic that goes up Stark Street. We live on Stark. We are adjoining the bridge. In the 20 years that we've lived in the spot that we do there on the river, we've had 4 deaths right in front of our house. We've had over 12 accidents right in front of our house. We've had 2 girls from Reynolds die in front of our house. I mean, it's been really something that dramatically affects us. And so the speed of these cars coming off of this bridge, now as the bridge is being improved, which it needs, and we can't challenge that at all, but the way that the traffic is going to interface with Stark needs to be dramatically addressed. And everything that we brought up to the county to try and address this, up until this point, has been ignored, including all the deaths that have been happening. When this bridge is updated and the Troutdale Bridge is not updated, this is going to draw more traffic. It's going to be the main thoroughfare of everybody going into Gresham. And so we're going to obviously be seeing more traffic. And one of the issues that we face right now is coming out of our driveways onto Stark with the traffic. And over the last 20 years, we've seen kind of a gradual increase in that. But we're really thinking that the changes to this bridge, if they're just done making it look more like a freeway ramp, is going to change the way that traffic interfaces with the neighbors that live along Stark right there. And getting out in the morning or anytime when you pull up out of your driveway onto the street, you can see down by the Riverview restaurant area, but you can't foresee the cars going at 50 miles an hour, sometimes more than that, up Stark, and they're instantly on you. And so those kind of issues need to be addressed, and this would be the perfect time really for the project team to be trying to look at some of those issues as well. So we want to bring up the traffic issues, the volume, the accident history that's been there right at the bridge essentially. And you can see the accidents listed on websites that the state maintains too. You can see all the little dots along there that have happened. But when we're looking at the dots compared to what we know historically has happened, they're not all listed. So we need to make sure that everybody's aware of it. So the bridge design, maintaining the historic design, I hear it through everybody's comments here. We'd really like to see it, and the neighbors especially would like to see it. And the new design of this more sleek bridge with no trusses over it or anything like that. While it's nice for a freeway, the historic Columbia River Highway is the gateway to the Columbia Gorge, and we really need to maintain that look of it. And I would really like to see one bridge put there. I know it was listed on one of the slides that maintaining that alignment was something that had been briefly considered, but you're a little worried about maybe not getting federal funding to do it. That needs to be investigated, and trying to keep the historic look of it in the same alignment with a single bridge without having to take more old tree growth down and all that kind of stuff. Not affecting the Riverview restaurant property like this one looks like it's going through it. I mean, it looks like there's an opportunity there, I think, that needs to really be investigated. So I would really like to try and have the group seriously consider that. And whatever the obstacles are, funding or whatever, look into those to see what can be done. Anyway, I appreciate your time and just want to give you guys a few of the comments of what I've heard around the neighbors in just the very brief time that we've been aware of the project really getting serious.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Someone else, please.
I'm not as fast on my feet as Dennis, so I'm going to read this. And my name's Carol. My daughter Stacy Ludy lives next door to Dennis, and she asked me to read this on behalf of our family. First, we want to acknowledge the importance of this bridge to our community. We're aware that the existing bridge has significant structural and safety concerns that need to be addressed. We support finding a safe, reliable, long-term solution. Our concern is about how that solution is designed and how it will affect the surrounding community. After seeing the recently posted image of a proposed replacement bridge, which we also saw again tonight, we have concerns about the apparent size and location of the structure, traffic safety, property access, and preservation of natural landscape and the historic character of the area. Traffic safety is a major concern. Echoing on what Dennis said, vehicles frequently travel Stark Street at speeds above the posted limit, and there have been numerous crashes in this area, including fatal accidents. The existing bridge is relatively narrow, which actually causes drivers to slow down. A substantially wider bridge and roadway would encourage higher speeds. The proposed alignment also appears to bring the roadway closer to the neighboring homes. For residents such as us who live adjacent to the bridge, this raises questions about increased accidents, sight distance, noise, and the ability to safely enter and exit our properties. The people who live here every day have firsthand knowledge of these issues and other conditions that may not be fully appreciated from a map or engineering drawing. We encourage the project team at the county to meet with the property owners living close to the bridge to understand and address our concerns. We're also concerned about the potential impact to Sandy River Gardens and the surrounding mature Douglas fir trees. Based on the image that has been presented, it appears that the project would require acquisition of some portion of the Sandy River Gardens property and potentially the removal of these mature trees. These trees and established gardens and natural surroundings are important parts of the character and beauty of the area. In addition, the proposed structure appears to be more modern and visually imposing than the existing bridge, and it's inconsistent with the bridge that belongs in this historic and scenic setting. The county also has identified the historic and scenic significance of this location as an important alternative selection criteria. We believe that this should include preserving the natural landscape and residential character of the area wherever reasonably possible. We're asking that the county evaluate, address, and provide clear information about sight distance for residents entering and exit their properties, driving speeds and the need for traffic calming measures, the crash history in this area, how the proposed bridge and alignment will affect nearby residential access, safety, and noise, whether private property acquisition will be required, whether mature trees will need to be removed, what alternative designs or alignments have been considered, which was briefly covered today, and how directly affected residents will be included before a preferred alternative is finalized. As the county evaluates alternatives, we ask that in addition to the structural needs of the bridge, the county also address the safety concerns of nearby residents and preserve the natural landscape and historic and scenic character of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else?
I'm Troutdale. On this particular subject, I'm making a start. I am completely opposed to design. That's it. I will fight to be. I have a couple of questions. Wasn't the Stark Street Bridge was closed for a while for what I believe to be reparations, fixing it, and all that, was it not? Shortly thereafter, they said, and it was fixed, I thought, really quick. Is anyone notified that this happened? 18-wheelers are not allowed on that bridge. They never have. And my discussion with the truck drivers was that, well, I don't know till I get here. And the dispatchers are sending them over the Stark Street Bridge. And what are they supposed to do with that? Back up. I mean, they're stuck. And so the fact that these, we just went through the flood of all times in Unsandy River. It was so flimsy and unsafe, it would have gone downstream. I have video of when the shore was. It was a huge flood. It was massive. Bridge still. So I take issue with this is such a horrible bridge to begin with. In my mind, and I don't know quite how this works, but we know we like what we see. My personal experience is that there's really no issue because all of us know that over that bridge, to kind of look ahead, moving truck, then, we waited. I personally have never happened, and I've been doing it for years. So, when traffic increased, for example, when Stark Street Bridge was closed, everybody took 57 Buxton and up and into Troutdale. And which took you to Stark. And so there have been a lot of traffic changes in general. That was always like, I felt like I was a secret way home, so I didn't have to go up 57 and so, I mean, I did, but then I got across the road and it's for sale. I land on top. So I've seen changes to traffic based on repairs. And I'm not picturing it right now, but I know there was a correlation between the Stark Street Bridge and traffic. So, I guess the question would be, we love the way, I mean, our bridge is great. We love our bridge. It's been here forever. Is there a way to recreate that bridge a little bit longer? Even salvage some of the wood. Why not just? And the other thing is, the county says, well, money, we gotta make sure we have the money. So we don't know anything. This is money. When construction starts, what happens when they run out of money? Is it just gonna be unfinished for years? There are just too many questions. And I think that, I don't know why Multnomah County has decided to do something about the Stark Street Bridge from their perspective. They don't live here, they don't know Troutdale. I will oppose it at every opportunity. I almost went down to, and I was just gonna go stand there on the Stark Street Bridge and tell the truckers, you can't go this way. Go all the way to Springdale and find a parking lot, turn around and go back. They don't even belong on Old Columbia River Highway if there's an alternative, in my opinion. So, anyway.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking your mind, that's what this is for. Anybody else?
Good evening, everyone. Tanny Stephenson, Troutdale resident. Just in regards to the bridge, I had the same question some other people did. If we're leaving the existing bridge for ped and bike traffic, is it necessary to put dual ped and bike lanes on the new bridge? I'm just wondering if somehow that could be scaled back a little bit, maybe save some cost there. And then plus, we could end up in the same situation we have at Beaver Creek where we have a bridge that nobody uses. And I'd rather see it somehow to where people tend to use the old bridge for ped and bike versus just making it, so easy and so convenient to use the new one that no one uses the old one. And also, I would agree that traffic is a pretty substantial thing, and I haven't heard anything about how that's going to be addressed. I mean, if nothing else, a flashing yellow light would help. I was on the bridge just the other day and watched somebody go up on the curb trying to make the corner to get on the bridge. They were coming north. They were turning onto the bridge, went up on the curb, and I think those of you that have been around see it all the time. It doesn't have anything to do even with an 18-wheeler or anything else. It's just coming down the hill too fast and trying to make the corner. And that's where, frankly, most of the damage has happened there. It's just people just driving too fast. And I think that's something that we have to address. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, well, you've heard from the public, and thank you again for the update. And best wishes on this project. We'll move on to agenda item number 5, which is establishing the town hall framework. date and discussion parameters. This is for a town hall that was originally requested to me anyway by the Citizens Advisory Committee, one of our Troutdale citizen committees. They wanted to have a town hall, and the principal issues, they agreed to focus it on principal issues that we have right now in Troutdale in our budget are paying for police and fire services. We are frankly being driven into bankruptcy by the cost of the contracts that we have both with Gresham for fire and with the county for sheriff's and police services. Part of the discussion was the possible formation of a Troutdale Police Department where we wouldn't contract with the county and we would establish a police department. Troutdale did until about 2015, we had our own police department. We've been contracting with the sheriff ever since. It did, in fact, save money for a while, and which was the goal, but it became more expensive now at this point than possibly starting a police department. That's kind of where we're at. And a town hall format is what the Citizens Advisory Committee requested. We're thinking, and this is discussion I had with our city manager, with members of the CAC, with some of the council, but it's come before us tonight that we, what we would do is we would take, one of the proposals is to take one of our 2 October council meetings and not have a council meeting, instead have an open town hall meeting. It would be recorded and televised just like a council meeting. It would start at 7 o'clock. The public is invited. Frankly, all our council meetings are town hall meetings. Anyone can come, and as you have seen tonight, anyone is allowed to speak. But this would be focused on the questions of whether we should form a police department in Troutdale or not, or continue to contract with the sheriff. And believe me, I'm hearing from citizens on both sides of that. The other question is, fire services are currently provided under contract with the city of Gresham, and that is proving to be very costly for us, and we are considering, and it was part of the what our city manager put in the champion, and has actually in several issues of it. This is a complicated issue, but one thing we could do is have Troutdale join a fire district. That's a separate government entity, separate taxing authority that would be devoted strictly to providing fire services. There is one nearby. Clackamas Fire District 1 is a large district that is capable of providing fire services to Troutdale. And we're hoping Wood Village and Fairview might join us, but this, and that's one option. Another option is the Fire District 10, which is an existing fire district, but very small now, contracts all their fire services through Gresham. And Troutdale, Wood Village, and Fairview all used to be in Fire District 10 30 years ago, when we decided to pull out of the fire district and join and contract with Gresham. It seemed like a good deal at the time. Anyway, at this time, it might be necessary to consider doing that. To join a fire district requires a vote of the citizens of Troutdale, an affirmative vote to join a fire district. It would pull us, we would no longer contract with Gresham, we would be joining another entity to provide fire services. These are complicated questions, and the agenda item before us is to establish some parameters for a town hall in October for us to invite as many of the public as we can. We would publicize that it's going to be, the topic will be limited to public safety, police and fire, and how those are provided. And the hope is that we can provide some answers to the public on these very important questions. And we haven't tried anything like this in a long time, but the Citizens Advisory Committee recommended it, and the council is, well, we're going to consider setting aside one of our council meetings in October for this purpose. I should also point out that in July, the City Council authorized, and we filed a ballot item that will appear in November on the ballot for all of us citizens of Troutdale to vote on, asking the question, should we form a Troutdale Police Department or not? It's advisory, it isn't binding, it doesn't raise taxes or lower taxes or do anything. It's the question before the citizens will be, should we go forward studying the formation of a Troutdale Police Department? That's one ballot measure. The other ballot measure we put on the ballot for November is, and it was already briefly discussed with one of the gentlemen here asked about, it's called a public safety levy. It's a 5-year levy. It would be on the property tax bill. That would be an affirmative vote would increase everyone's property taxes to pay for the levy, which would fund continuation of either police or fire services or both. The idea is it would eliminate the need for the fee that now appears on people's water sewer bill. And the levy would be a vote of the citizens to tax themselves, really tax ourselves I think it's $1.60 per thousand. Anyway, unless that passes, if it passes, it would be binding on the city and it would take effect the following year and it would appear on your tax statement. If it doesn't pass, we're in the same condition we're in now. So that deserves discussion at this town hall meeting. So I think I've summarized most of the issues that we're going to discuss at a town hall meeting. As I say, the proposal is, and it was a CAC proposal, but I'm endorsing the idea that we set aside one of our council meetings in October. We normally meet on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of each month for a council meeting. And this is the 4th Tuesday of August, for example. It turns out that in October, we already have something scheduled for the 4th Tuesday in October. So we have two options. We can do the 2nd Tuesday in October as a date for the town hall, or the 3rd. That's a meeting each month that is set aside to discuss the urban renewal area. It's another governmental entity that the city meets about, the city council meets about. And so we could either do the 2nd Tuesday or the 3rd Tuesday in October. I checked with, I talked to Adrian from the Citizens Advisory Committee, And Will Knight, also from the Citizen Advisory Committee, that the CAC is not, between those two dates, they're perfectly willing to leave it up to us to decide on a date. So anyway, with that background, I open it for discussion of council. Does anyone, I'll just say, I think a logical way to go would be to have the town hall on the the second Tuesday of October, the 13th of October. And we would do it like we would meet here as a council, open try to advertise it as a town hall as much as we can, send out notices, put it on the website, put it on the Facebook page, whatever we have to do to let people know that we're going to be discussing this topic. And we won't have all these other topics. It'll just be for this topic. And the purpose of it is to answer questions from the public. John?
I'm thinking the second is going to be the best because with Multnomah Cable Access or whoever that does the broadcasting on TV, is the TV slot already booked on the third Tuesday for something else? If this is going to be,
I think they do the second and the third. If we have a URA meeting, aren't those broadcast also? URA meetings? Well, they're not. Well, John, that's a very important point then. Let's do it on the second.
broadcasting it.
Second Tuesday, unless there's objection, I'm thinking let's schedule the town hall meeting for the second Tuesday. Carol?
I'm in agreement on the second Tuesday, which is the 18th, because.
Is it the 18th?
Yeah, no, 13th, sorry.
13th, I thought it
Glasses
was.
help when you read it.
All right.
On the 13th, only because voting is coming up just in a couple weeks. If we have it on the 27th, it doesn't give a lot of people time to process and think about things, and I think the 13th would be best. And I'm wondering, do we think that this room is big enough for that? I mean, are we expecting a lot of people, or do you think that this room is going to be plenty?
Well, one of the suggestions from the CAC was to have this room, because it's all set up for TV in it, but also the CCB building next door. Have a monitor there, and people could sign up there to speak. They could come over here to, if they want to ask questions, but if there's an overflow crowd, it could overflow into the CCB building next door, and I think that's feasible. Good point, though. I mean, it's hard to know how big a crowd it's going to be. We're going to advertise it heavily and try to get people, but as I said, all our council meetings are really public, our town hall meetings, and it just depends. These are our critical topics, though, and they're coming up in the November election, and so there's very good chance there'll be a crowd. I hope so, anyway. Any further comments on the date? Then I wanted to go through some of the parameters for how this meeting would be conducted. Further comments on the date, though?
I like
The 13th? All right, without objection, we'll just set it for the 13th of October, 2026. And
7, was that?
7 o'clock. The CAC had requested that we invite their representative of their committee and other citizen committees, which would be Planning Commission, Parks Advisory, if they care to come at 6:30 and just have a sign-up table for people to chat with them. That would be, we would actually open the room at 6:30. But the meeting would start at 7. And that seemed reasonable, and so 7 o'clock, and it would be, as I said, televised and recorded and handled in the same way as any other council meeting. All right. See, the CAC had a couple of pages worth of notes, but I checked with Adrian and Will Knight about this, and these were just some thoughts. They emphasized it was up to us, the city council, to decide this. They suggested, and I totally agree, that the event should be focused on giving answers to questions from the community and not a line of parties giving speeches and their opinions. How we control that is going to be a little dicey, but I discussed it with our city manager, and I was thinking in terms of a 2-minute time limit for speakers, so they don't start in on a speech. They were a deputy sheriff and they wanted to give their history or something, that it be focused on questions to the staff and council. This is supposed to be and would be very neutral. I mean, we're not advocating one way or the other. Everybody has their opinion, but we're going to try to keep it to questions, not speeches. And how we handle that will have to be determined before the meeting, but I think it can be handled. I really do.
Ask a question too.
Yes, no, please, go ahead.
I think the specific time limit on questions is great. Question would be on a time limit overall for the town hall. And because as our previous meeting that we talked about this and people came up, we had a lot of questions, we had speeches, we had a whole thing. I think that meeting went till like 11:30, midnight.
It was midnight.
That was 5 hours. Yeah. So my goal would be to not do that again.
That would be my goal too, I agree.
So my question or my suggestion would be that we set a time limit overall for this, whether that be 3 hours max, but that puts us till 10. And so my question on the start time would be, like, after 10 o'clock, we probably all start operating a little less enthusiastic. So whatever we decide the time to be, if you want to make it 2 hours and we go till 9, I support that. If you want to make it longer, I would suggest moving the start time ahead so we don't go to that later hour where we kind of tend to get exhausted and maybe pay less attention to people.
And I had brought up that earlier with Mike, I thought, shouldn't we maybe start like at 6 instead? Only because that's a long night. And I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of people here. And so I would love to be able to be alert the whole time, because I start wanting to go to bed at 9 o'clock. So when we're here at 10, my mind is not working very well. And I want to be able to give you my 100% attention. And I don't want to have people think that we're not giving them 100% attention when in fact they're just tired. And so I really would like, I would propose that we start at 6 and we can go to 10, but, maybe 6 to 9 or 9:30, and then just call it like at 9:30. That gives them 3.5 hours. I think that's plenty of time.
Is the camera equipment available if it starts at 6?
I can check on that, but we should be able to arrange that. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to.
Okay. I wondered. I mean, that would be important.
Typically, they arrive at like 6:15 anyway, so.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we could ask.
I don't know, what's the, on the start time? Yes, go ahead, Glenn.
I think it's important to keep our 7 o'clock because everyone's used to that time. They're gonna miss it, but that's just my thought. And I don't mind going late. It's an important topic, and we haven't had hardly any late meetings. And I think the biggest problem was there was some confusion on, I think Mike thought the recorder was timing the speakers and vice versa. So I think if we get a handle on that.
I got that now.
timing it. And we were also, because it was the sheriff, we gave him a lot of leeway, I think, and they were going off topic on the subject matter. But I think it was good that Dave made the rational decision just to let them get it all out. And I don't think it'll go that late, but I remember the closest thing I can remember to us ever doing something like this is when Metro was trying to get the Springwater Trail to connect into Troutdale. And we did it at the church, and there was, 300 people there or more. The news was there, and to try to stop that meeting would have been a mistake. And I think it was good just to get it over with, even if it goes late. But I think having the timing will help a lot in keeping them on track to the subject matter. But that's my preference.
Zach. Yeah, I guess I would echo that, to be honest. It's an important topic. I would say I'll be here as late as somebody wants to ask a question and stay up late themselves too, for that night. I think it's worth it, and if historical precedence is there for kind of how things like that have run in the past, then I would say it's probably a pretty good indicator on how it works. I don't mind, again, another late night if that means we have enough recording even for somebody to watch later who missed it and that kind of thing too, and cover all the details. So, I'm fine starting at 7 or 6 is fine, but yeah, I don't necessarily think we need a cap on it.
Yes, John.
I don't know if you're going to get to it, but the fourth point here was having a moderator or facilitator, which I think would help you keep everything online. The other questions I have is, will there be a representative from the fire and police here to answer any questions, or is this going to be closed to the police?
Oh, no, I'm expecting that fire and police representatives, it'll be an open.
To answer questions, though.
To answer questions.
Yeah.
And it will be up to the moderator to keep it on point.
Right.
And
Now you have a debate on your hands because there's two different parties to the police question, right? So.
What question?
The police service question, right? So is the question, how would Troutdale provide the service, or how would Multnomah County provide the service? Or is it multilateral? Is it more of like, well, I don't know.
I thought it was city and council answering questions, because if we get other people up here, yeah, it's just gonna be a free-for-all.
Answering, well, all right, I was answering John's question, would they be here? Yes, they will be here. They probably will ask questions. Not expecting them to answer questions.
Right. But can I, as a citizen, ask them questions?
Gresham Fire and Multnomah County Sheriff's Department?
Right. Will they be here to answer questions from the public?
I don't think that was part of the plan.
Well, that was my question.
Yeah, so I think the plan was,
Ahead of time.
and we have to walk a thin line here because we have ballot items that take up this exact question. And we can answer questions, but we have to be neutral and we can't take sides on it, right? So it has to be very fact-based, we have to be very cautious on how we respond so that we don't, so that we uphold the aura of neutrality. And so that's something I still have to take up with Ed, and I think it's gonna put us in a very interesting predicament from staff's point of view. The council, of course, you guys don't have to hold that neutrality. You carry your own opinion forward as citizens and elected officials. But for the staff, we have to uphold the neutrality piece, and therefore it's putting us in a very challenging position on being able to discuss or advocate or anything else for things that are very important for our organization.
Well, John is asking specific question. Can the public ask, during the town hall, ask questions of the sheriff and fire people? And, you know, that's a good point. I don't, that would really derail the purpose.
Yeah, with fire, we would want representatives from
10 and 1.
10 and District 1 and Gresham and.
The union is the, with fire, it's the issue, and fire is, well, paying for it is coming up on the ballot because of the levy. But what we're gonna do with fire is not the question that will be discussed. That will not be voted on in November. Because we.
So then as a guideline going into this, we need to say that they cannot answer questions from the public.
That the question should be directed to the council and staff. Troutdale staff, yeah, okay.
But they cannot
That makes
answer
sense.
questions from the public.
That sound okay? Actually sounds good.
I was just gonna say, if there would not be a representative for the Troutdale police. So there
couldn't be, yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of unfair for someone that's pro Troutdale police. So I would say you should direct questions to the council and city staff only.
Good point. And that makes sense as part of the guidelines for this. And
I've been at a few meetings where we have a hired moderator and they're fairly expensive, and we soon realized it was not a good way to go. The moderator will have a bias against one opinion of a counselor is what it seemed like, and I wouldn't recommend doing that. Yeah, I've had bad experiences with that, I think.
If we just do it as an open forum where they can come up and ask their question.
Yes.
You know, and if the mayor's, okay, you have, you know, a minute or 2 minutes to ask your question, and if they can't articulate what their question is, we could kind of nudge them toward the end and say, hey, okay, so what's your question? Or can you formulate what your question is? Then we can attempt to answer it.
And while I'm not looking forward to having to try to moderate, I am used to running the meetings, and my thought is I could handle it. But I'm willing to think about that. We've got another month and a half before this happens. Jesse?
I just think it might be a good idea to have a little presentation from our side first of, you know, what's all going to be detailed with the levy. So we could get a lot of people's questions answered maybe in the first 20 minutes with a simple presentation.
Excellent, yeah, excellent idea.
Just like a monetary presentation on what the numbers compute to and how it would resolve the rising costs of contracts and what that money is being applied to. Because it's basically all going into public safety, police, fire, 911 to cover those rising costs. I mean, we could illustrate that with documents that we've already been exposed to or we've been apprised of. That the general public probably hasn't necessarily seen unless they've been here at a public meeting. So, we could definitely do a PowerPoint and put those up there. I think Councilor Allen mentioned today at the last council meeting when we talked about this, we had like apples to apples comparison. Like this is what we're proposing with the Troutdale PD, with the startup. And this is what Multnomah County is proposing with their revised offer, which we got the documents today from them on. I don't know if the council has seen that, but yeah, we could throw those up so the public can definitely see those comparables. Kind of walk that out, and then some of the numbers get dizzying because you're looking at so many different numbers over a 5-year span. But we could definitely sum them up and put them into a series of slides, I would imagine.
the less spreadsheets, the better, I would say. More bottom line, brass tacks.
Right.
That's for the initial presentation, I would.
Yeah.
I think you can be ready for that.
Yeah.
And,
Just a quick clarification.
yes, go ahead.
I mean, I believe they mentioned it in the CAC notes too, but just want to make sure, like, due to potential election missteps and stuff, the moderator does have to be a neutral party, so it should be somebody from city, right? Because it's a ballot measure coming up, and we can't have somebody moderating that would be potentially like any one of us that would be able to speak our own biased opinions on whatever.
So the difference between a moderator and what we as staff prepare and follow the policies that are directed toward us from the council yourselves. Sure. In doing that, then we have to come up with some like administrative actions to ensure those policies are upheld and met. So I wouldn't say we're neutral, because the policies that the council creates are the policies that we have to then enact.
So I guess what's the missing piece then? We just need party, like.
I don't think we need a moderator necessarily. It's your choice if you want a moderator. And you could pick anyone to be a moderator. You could pick one of your subcommittee chairs. You could pick the mayor. You could pick yourself. You don't need a moderator necessarily, especially in the format that was being proposed, which has come up to your question, and we'll do our best to answer it.
Just want to make sure we're not misstepping.
Yeah, the trick comes with the neutrality. If I'm like, oh, you all definitely need to vote for the Troutdale PD, and I start promoting that, and I'm like, this is the best, and this is how it happened, I'm definitely violating the the elections process, because I'm advocating for it, right? But if somebody asks a question, what are we getting for the Multnomah County contract? I can answer that question. If someone asks, what would we get with the limited Troutdale PD option? I can answer that question. But I think there's a very thin line about answering a question and advocating for a cause. And I think that's where we can get in trouble.
Yeah, I recommend that we consult with our legal counsel on that question, because I don't think the proposal for a moderator came through just before the meeting tonight. Sure. And I wasn't able to reach it, because I'm thinking there's a way to handle this. Okay. But it does need to be someone neutral. And we don't have to decide that tonight. Okay. Tonight, let's decide the time, the start time, any limits on the length. I think I heard no problem with a 2-minute time limit for anybody to speak, to allow, to avoid speeches. And we can find somebody, Mike, you wouldn't necessarily have to do it yourself, but we can find somebody to handle that, and we'll enforce it this time. Personally, I just soon we start at 7 also, because that's when the council normally meets. But I heard a proposal for 6, but I just think it would be better to have it start, and then it can be for sure televised and recorded in the usual way.
7 to 9:30 with maybe a rollover till 10 at the latest.
Well, all right, on this business of cutting off, it's a town hall, and there's people from Troutdale that want to speak. Who of us is going to want to say, oh, I'm sorry, it's 9:30, it's 10. You're not going to get your chance. Nobody's going to say that. So I think we could probably be done by 9:30 without a problem, but I'm never going to guarantee. Yes,
I mean, I would be here to midnight to talk to somebody. I mean, I'm not going to cut them off. I never have. But people are going to come, they're going to want to have questions and everything. But we also have lives outside of council, and we also have full-time jobs outside of council. And You know, I want to be able to hear everything you have to say, and if I have to be here to midnight, I will be, but I would rather be able to say, you know, is it looking like that we're almost ready to go, and then close it up. I think that we have to feel what the audience is at that time.
Look, if at some point in the meeting, the council says, hey, let's wrap this up.
After just kind of hearing you guys from the previous one, I'm fine to not put a time limit on it. But saying this, I would like to start at 6. That's my proposal.
And so we have a date. We haven't decided on a start time. Who?
I just asked a question because like we've circled the drain about the format and how we address this. My concern would be if we have somebody get up here and start their statement, or they think they're going to stand on the podium and give their 10 cents or 5 cents about what it is. Is that what we're trying to do, or are we actually trying to have an interaction where they can ask questions and then we can answer those questions? Because I think it's the latter, yeah. So we might want to stipulate that this is a town hall question and answer.
Yes.
So that way people understand that we're here to answer questions, not hear speeches, not hear, that's what they can come to our council meeting and they can give us their opinion or make a statement or a speech or what have you at our council meetings, and we can hear that. But then we don't get the opportunity to then respond or address their concerns because we're in that sort of public forum and that official address, if you will. This would be an opportunity where they can actually ask questions of us and we could then answer them and then move on to the next candidate, right? Is that what we're?
Yeah, well, I think Jesse said it well, that there'll be a presentation about the issues. Doesn't have to go on and on, but it should condense in some concise way the financial challenges we've got and the issues that we're asking people to vote on and decisions we're going to have to be making. That's more down the road for fire, and then we'll open it to questions and not speeches. So I think that will work. What's the feeling about the start time? We've got either 6 or 6. You think that it still could be televised? It could be arranged to be televised. I want it to be televised and available to anybody online who wants to watch it. So.
Who's gonna go ask?
Who's gonna answer?
Keith.
I can arrange to have the meeting start at 6 o'clock on the day in question.
Televised, okay, all right.
End of.
Who was that person?
Anyway, now, so is there, I'm hearing 2 councilors want on a 6 o'clock start. Anybody else? Are we, I'm still okay with 7, but I'm also open to 6. So what's the feeling?
With 6.
I think when we did the Springwater Trail open house, that people could come in early. We had stuff on boards that they could read.
Oh, we're not doing that.
Okay.
We're not gonna do that.
All right.
Otherwise, that's a huge amount of staff time.
Okay.
This is a town hall for people to come and ask questions.
A lot of people could barely make it.
So, well.
But it's, they don't have to be here at 6.
Right, they can show up later at 7, I imagine, too, if they want.
Because they can go back and watch what they missed.
Well, let's just go around. Who says 6? Well, that looks like a majority to me. Okay, I'll concede. Well, the meeting then the town hall meeting will start at 6. We'll open it up at half an hour before for the groups to have a table, by the groups, I mean the citizen committees that we have. The CAC particularly wanted to be able to introduce themselves, and if they're willing to provide some volunteers to share what the CAC does with the public that comes early, we'll advertise it as the doors open at 5:30, the meeting starts at 6. And we won't specify an end time, but we'll try to wrap it up in a reasonable amount of time. The parameters you mentioned, that it's to answer questions. There'll be a presentation on the questions Troutdale is facing, particularly the things that the voters are facing, but not just that, also the fire question, and we're here to answer questions and not for speeches.
And I think you probably want to avoid any kind of like controversial debate, right? So we want to be able to provide that information, but I don't think we want to get into a debate over.
Oh, no, the idea wouldn't be a debate.
No, but I foresee some issues coming, and so we need to be prepared as how we're gonna handle those issues. I think that we will probably have some individuals coming here that are not gonna wanna just ask questions, they're gonna wanna state their opinions and do it a little bit more aggressively, and I think that we have to just be prepared for that and decide what we're gonna do when that comes.
Well, okay, and one answer would be a 2-minute limit on speeches. If they want to ask, we'll cut them off at 2 minutes and just leave it at that. It's fair. I think it would work. At least I think it would. Troutdale has wonderful citizens who are very civic-minded and want to give everybody a fair shot.
I think if they come in with a statement and they get to the end of the 2 minutes, we can ask, well, was there a question in there? Or is there something that you'd like me to address with your statement?
We'll try to be polite.
Figure out there's a way.
Okay, and the idea is that we'll advertise this as a town hall for Troutdale citizens. Answer their questions and discuss the subjects of public safety and how we're going to pay for it. All right. I will open it for public comment. This is something that's coming up October 13th. I'll start online. Does anyone care to address the council on this matter?
Mayor Ritma, Paul Wilcox, Troutdale.
Yes, Paul.
I just want to go back to Adrian's complaint about the champion earlier. If we can't be assured that the champion's delivered by October 1st, I'd strongly recommend you send out a separate flyer for this event specifically.
Yes, I was thinking a postcard or some sort of flyer separate from the champion.
Well, he suggested, one of his suggestions was in the water bill too. A flyer in their water bill.
Oh, good idea. Could we include
Some
it in
people
the
like
next water bill?
don't get their water bill, like it just gets auto paid, so those people would not see that.
But it wouldn't hurt to have that too.
No, I'm just saying, but if you're gonna do the water bill and the postcard, then you're doubling up on the people that need it, so I would just say, in terms of like saving money and whatnot, like, one of those options.
Well, I think the water bill wouldn't cost. It would just be a blurb. Like, there's no extra cost for the water.
But most people don't see that, is what we find is like, well, you didn't tell me about this, and we're like, well, it was on that water bill, and like, they don't read the fine print.
Well, is that a satisfactory reason for not doing it then? It's okay with me.
It needs to be a separate insert, not just printed on your water bill.
Separate insert. Okay, well, then in that case, why don't we do a postcard?
Well, then you have to,
free.
you're paying for it already with your postage for the water bill. That'd be separate postage.
Jeffrey's point was some people
But yeah,
don't receive a one. I
realize that.
think that's a good point. If we want it to be well advertised, one separate mailing, this doesn't happen in 30 years I've been elected. We've never done anything quite like this. So I think having it be a separate mailing would be best. And Paul's point about the champion, don't rely on the champion. I think I heard a deadline at the end of this month for the next champion. So when that presumably would come out in September sometime, but as it was mentioned earlier, they're changing the software, and Kelly just had an awful time with the last one.
Yeah, so I think we had a different software, and the last one, we were partway through production and we ended up losing a couple pages. And then we had to come back and reproduce those pages, and the stuff that was reproduced was not as efficient as the stuff that was initially in there, or it wasn't the right data that I found out later. So
all right, well, we'll do the best we can with the champion, but we're going to send out a separate mailer to the citizens of Troutdale. Zach, did you have?
No, it's
No.
Shelby has her hand up on line.
Yes, okay. Yeah, Paul was done. I guess Shelby, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to say that Erica brought up the Summerfest was well received, that advertisement in the water bills. So I didn't know if you guys wanted to understand how whatever Erica had put out with Summerfest, a little card or something in the water bill, like John Leamy pointed out, it's already part of your mailing, and it's a low-cost option, but apparently a lot of people that I talked to said that was really handy. They saw it, noticed it. So just trying to save the city some money, if that makes sense, but we want a good turnout. And then the other thing is the presentation that you're going to give at this town hall. Be good if it was ahead of time presented. I mean, not presented, but like available, so people could look through the few slides, whatever it is. I think it's important they could formulate questions. You guys will represent, and then you might answer some of their questions. But I just think it's good if people can look at the stuff ahead of time, then they can be thinking about their questions. So that's it. Thank you.
Good point. I am wondering, couldn't whatever we're mailing out also go on the water bill? It wouldn't cost practically anything then. As a separate flyer that just is folded. I don't know how complicated the water bill.
Well, if we send out a flyer to everyone, it would go to the same addresses that would go to the water bill, right? For those that receive their water bill.
Except for people who don't get water bills.
Yeah.
So we send it with the water bill, and then those
And have a
that
separate
don't get them, do we send it to them individually?
Just have a separate mailer for everybody.
That's the easiest way, yeah, but then why would we need to double up and put another one in their water bill?
I'm thinking it would be free. I think Shelby's point was, why not do both?
Production costs, I would say,
I
instead
don't
of
know.
using
I don't want to cost the city a lot of money, but
It's just doubling down your efforts for those that actually receive a paper water bill. So the people that would receive a paper water bill would get 2 copies of the same flyer instead of just one. So if we just did one separate mailer, everyone that owns a mailbox or post office box would get one flyer.
I thought if it was cheap, it would be just to stick them in the water bill too.
But you were talking about the people that when you auto pay, they don't get a water bill.
I was, yes, I was. I'm in favor of mailing it to everybody separately. And Shelby was bringing up, why not put it in the water bill? I don't know if it's exactly how she put it, but why not have it in the water bill too? Since it's free, it's already going out. You don't agree?
He was saying
Okay.
instead.
Sorry, we're just not going to do it that way. We're just going to mail it out. We're not going to put it in the water bill. That's fine. I just want to resolve.
Send it to me, I'll get it.
Anyone else online?
Just like I do for the slurry.
Okay, did I miss anybody? Okay, how about in the room? Yes, Victoria.
I just had Victoria Rizzo Troutdale. On your moderator, you don't really need a moderator because you're not debating. You need a host. Someone that will say, come sit here. You have 2 minutes. State your name and your city. Because that last meeting, we had people that weren't even from Troutdale. So state your name, your city, and your question. And that way, you're reminding them not to make a speech. And then they can politely interrupt if they, do you have a question?
Or we could at least say, do you have a question? Yes or no? Not make them write it out, but good point. Good point. And the fact that people who are not from Troutdale are getting up and asking questions, maybe, I don't know, how do you feel, how does the council feel about it? I don't know,
I was just bringing that up, at least we know where they were from.
Yeah. All right, have them at least write down where they're from, but, Adrian,
Diane Castillo White, City of Troutdale, and I'm not speaking for the CAC, although I am on CAC. I had some notes, and my notes was a simple thing about how we got here. So you guys did address that. So, because I'm thinking about the person that's curious about this question and they've never been to PSAC meeting or they haven't done anything else. So really quick, organize, how did we get here? That's already structured, so that goes quickly. Even explaining the police, we used to have our own police. This is whatever this, as simple or basic as you want to make it. I'm thinking this, a lot of people be coming to have discovery, questions that they want the answers to, but I kind of disagree with questions only. And the only reason is if we keep it really short, I don't know if you say opinions 1 minute, questions 2 minutes or whatever, because free speech is 1. 2 is the meetings I have gone to, the last council meetings, when Sheriff Skipper has talked or somebody has talked, it's part of, to me, my discovery and my questions to get the holistic picture of hearing their side, hearing our, well, not, okay, there's no sides, but information, because I even asked Skipper at the end of the meeting is like, you all have a lot of knowledge. I am hoping that whether we choose to go with sheriff or police, that you are all there to support us. Because we as citizens and those that helped, I helped on the poster for this building and I helped on the flyer for this building, and whether they were police or sheriffs, they were serving us. So people that came up and just did an opinion, a lot of those people were people that were in the industry, have done it for decades. A lot of them were elder people, and they just had something to say. And I was really happy that a lot of the tone of the past discussions has been very professional, has been very informational, and not as some of us have experienced over 10 years ago. It's a big blur. I don't even know how long ago it was. So in those meetings, again, this room was filled up. I like the idea that there is overflow just in case, because maybe somebody thinks this, now that it's affecting my bill, they're looking at both items that are coming up on, for the ballot, and they might be suffering financially or whatever, so maybe they're just a little bit more concerned about this topic. So I like the idea that we have overflow. I like the idea that you are doing it earlier. I don't know, I forget what time you came up with, but earlier, 6, okay, so 5:30, maybe if some of the CAC was here or however you choose to utilize this into letting people, welcoming them and letting them know how it's gonna go. And then I think you mentioned also taking away the town hall, the other committees. I personally, even though I like that, we're trying to do that for a regular town hall, but since the issue is so important and it's on the ballot and people need to understand it, that maybe we just greet and then explain to them how the process goes. I would hope that there'd be refreshments because we haven't had a town hall in years. So I think that would be a nice welcome. If you would like us to find, and again, I'm not speaking for CAC. Well, if you address it to us as a group to get volunteers for money, so the city doesn't pay for this, I would welcome looking into that, you know, to get some donations for refreshments. So we're just saying, hey, you know, you're here. We have a town hall. This is important. We have a great council, and let's celebrate that we're all gathering together and getting some information. Those are my only contributions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Diana? Adrian?
So, first off, I do want to say that that the CAC is certainly, as a group, and then me personally, is happy to be continuously involved in the planning of this, and information sharing and opinion sharing back and forth as we go forward. I do, to Victoria's point, I do think some sort of host figure to try to wrangle the stream of people is, I mean, whoever it is, but a person that is not secondarily responsible for answering said questions is important. Just because that's going to, keeping the people moving, keeping track of the timer, and politely saying next is an important job, just to keep this from going off the rails. Doubly so when you consider the idea that there may be questions that are submitted by members of the public in advance, will be interspersed within the discussions and read by said host. Also, if we're going to be following standard council meeting procedure and have people available online on Zoom, you'll need to have somebody watching Zoom and periodically creating a break in the question and answer flow to allow for a 2-minute question from somebody that is online. As Mayor said, this is stuff that we don't necessarily need to answer tonight, but there's logistical challenges that at some point between now and October 13th do need to be sorted. Like I said, I personally and members of other members of the CAC, I believe, are happy to be part of that conversation.
All right, well, thank you. And, all right, anyone else? If we, so we have established, and I don't think it needs a resolution or something, but that the meeting will be on October 13th in place of the council meeting for the second Tuesday of October, starting at 6 o'clock. Doors open at 5:30, and it will be advertised by the city with mailer citizens and posted on the website and whatever else, Facebook, social media, as a town hall with questions. We're answering questions about the important public safety issues of the day. Anybody have anything else to add? Otherwise, we'll go on to the next agenda item, which is the one that we added. I don't know what I did with it, but it's the one dealing with the Kiwanis cruising. And well, anyway, John, I'll let you take that.
You want me to start it? Yeah. So I just want to apologize on behalf of the city to begin with, because there was some confusion last time when we started this thing on what this was going to cost. And we had 4 or 5 sets of numbers, and those numbers all conflicted, and we didn't know which number was accurate, which number was not. So we heard numbers as high as 4,500, as low as 700. The actual number now that we've actually calculated and got everyone's time cards and everything else was $1,400 and $1,419.33. So $1,419.33 was the total, not the 45, not the 25, not the 22, whatever else. But what this has done is it's kind of enlightened us that what we really need is a set flat rate that kind of takes into consideration what the total costs of this are, because they are going to vary based on the type of event and how long the event and how much staff time is necessary to prepare for it. So I've tasked my staff with putting it into just a flat fee that's associated with events based on what our average cost is for maintaining the trailer, maintaining the equipment, signing the street prior to an event, going out and removing vehicles prior to an event, and then actually establishing and putting up the bollards, taking them back down for a successful event. So in the future, what you will see from us is a total in our event line that says if you are hosting or doing an event and you need to close down the street, this will be the fee. And it'll just be there, set, and there won't be this confusion in the future. So on behalf of myself and the staff, I just want to apologize for that confusion and put that out there. And now we have a known fee, which is the $1,419.33.
So August 1st, we were able to hold the event. It was a roller coaster because we scheduled it, we canceled it, we scheduled it. And my wife was not in favor of redoing it because it looked like we couldn't make up our mind because the Outlook posted it. They canceled it for us. They reposted it for us. That also caused confusion among attendees. So we had 96 cars. Last year we had 125. A number of people who did not know that this event happened because they thought it was canceled. Part of it was the infamous champion. It was supposed to come out in time to let people know that the event was back on. Unfortunately, it didn't come out until August 5th or so, and it had the wrong information in it. Anyway, so needless to say, we had a successful event. People were happy. And so what I would like to propose or ask is that we split the cost. So ask for $700 sponsorship instead of $1,500. So that's what I want to put out before you.
Okay, and I'll say, I supported doing the event back in July, I think it was the July meeting at the time, so I was in favor of it, but I've been thinking about it. First of all, it was a very great event. Even if there were fewer cars, I didn't notice it. There were certainly a lot of businesses liked it. It was a community event. It was well attended. Perfect weather, of course, helped. It rained for about 10 seconds. So a few convertibles I noticed dashing off, but mostly the weather was absolutely perfect. So, and the thing is, the Kiwanis have done this, volunteered to do this for Troutdale for over 20 years. It's a major event. It was at the time it was a modest expenditure. We were looking at $1,500. Now the Kiwanis are asking just that we cover $700 of the $1,419.33, and so I endorse the request and invite further discussion. Is there? Yes, Zach.
I also was in favor last time around, just because, again, it does have a huge benefit to our downtown, our business. It's right in the heart of our city. And it has been running for so long. I got some public comment about disappointment in the fact that we were not going to support it because it's been so long running and it's a city kind of a tradition in a way, and expressed displeasure from people who were sad to see that happen. So I also would be in favor of splitting the cost.
Anyone else?
I'll just say I'm in favor of it. And I kind of talked to John on the side quickly. My big thing was the miscommunication of the total cost that it was going to be and potentially fall onto the city from the information that I was given. And we found out that that information was incorrect. So I did feel bad. And I felt like I made the right decision in the moment that we were presented with it. But as it is now, I think I also had some people mention that, it was disappointing that it was going away. What happened? And then also just how I think vital that these events are to our city to bring people here. And we, in the past years have given away, I don't want to say given away, that's probably the bad word, but we've sponsored and supported multiple events within the city. And I think that this year we reduced that portion of our budget. So I want to still encourage people to come and ask for support, even if it's just in this modest amount. Anything we can do to help bring people to the city, I think, and show off the area is good. So that was my long-winded apology. We did get the bad information. I think we can rectify it by helping you guys out.
And then John and I also had a conversation similar to Jeffrey, because I didn't support it just due to the miscommunication on the finances. It's just the whole 2,000 to 4,500. It was just too overwhelming for me. But I did talk to you later and we figured it out. But I am in support for the 700. I think it's a great thing. I do think that, we are a community that thrives on community events, and it's great that we have them. It's concerning about the amount of cost, especially since we cut it down, that we really have to consider what we support in the future, but I'll always support Kiwanis.
Well, I would, unless there's further, I would entertain a motion to support John's request.
We talk about being short of money all the time and how we have to reach out and put fees on people's water bills. And it's not fun. It's not fun being up here and having to make cuts. And so that's kind of why I said we had to draw a line somewhere. And unfortunately, it was the worst possible moment for the timing of what we were talking about at that council meeting. I felt terrible afterwards when I heard it was canceled, because we do have a responsibility to the people who are here to bring people here and hopefully promote more business and bring people into the city. And so I feel guilty about, saying no last time. And I think the gesture of you asking for the city to pay half of what you guys pay was a good step. So I think, thank you for doing that. So I would be in favor of $700 as well.
Well, I do want to say, had we had this number the night that you guys voted on it, and you voted no, we would not have canceled the event. We would have gone ahead and figured out how to pay for it. But when we were hit with $4,500, I mean, it was a midnight meeting. I got home. It was like, I tossed and turned all night, and the next day when I went through canceling stuff, it was like, how did we get here? How did we get this big of a number? It just did not make sense to me. So.
Yeah, no, I just want to personally thank John. He's an amazing volunteer, and a lot more than council and Kiwanis. I see him everywhere, always in the middle of the mix. that alone is worth the money to me. But, you know, I think I do want to say that we do need to be careful, you know, and, you know, the Mount Hood Jazz Festival, that comes to mind. It's not even really in our city, even though a lot of students attend it. And when the school wanted us to fund the graduation night out, you know, that could have been a real can of worms because there's so many clubs and stuff in the school. So I think we really got to focus on our key events. And you're on the list of approved events. And I also think, Mike, if there's any way you could trim that number down, it still sounds high to me, but I don't know all the intimate details like you do, but there's a way to.
No, that is the complete breakdown. That's just staff cost. That is the real cost. So, and we, you know, like I said earlier, I apologize for the confusion on the numbers. There was a miscalculation and an added figure in there, but we had estimates like floating around, and it was ranging from 800 to 3,000 to 4,500, and had 5 or 6 numbers that day. And we had very little time to try to come up with what those numbers would be, and threw them out there last minute. So yeah, again, apologize on behalf of myself and the staff for not having that number readily available. You bring up a really good point, Counselor, and I just want to point out that when we try to dole out some of this sponsorship money that we have in our budget, which is like $10,000 a year, it was $20,000, we reduced it this last budget year. But we might want to consider putting that $10,000 into a bucket and then having everyone apply, so that then the council can assess those applications equally at the start of the fiscal year and then dole them out for the rest of the year. That's what other cities do. It's kind of like a sponsorship or a event grant program that's sponsored by the city, instead of coming in one here and one here, and the early bird gets the worm and the late bird gets left with nothing.
I kind of agree with what Mayor Ritma said when he said let's not advertise that money. And I don't think we spend it all now. That would ensure that we spent it all. That's the only objection. But you know, I don't really want to punish the Kiwanis Club and John for a mistake that occurred, and I'd be willing to sponsor the same amount we always do, which is I think $1,500. I know I go to that event every time it occurs, and it is a great event for our town. And you know, you have to invest in your city once in a while to get new people in, and that's it's part of our culture. You know, it's right by the Handy Brothers old gas station and garage, and it's a good mix of young people that are interested in, you know, cars and the old guys. So you don't see a lot of that kind of mixing. So I guess I'd be willing to make a motion for.
I'm asking for a motion as John requested it for $700.
Okay.
Do I have such a motion from anybody?
I'll make the motion. I propose that make a motion that we give Kiwanis $700 for the car show event.
Second.
Without further discussion, I suppose I should open it to public comment, but we're about to vote on supporting the car show. Just to be clear that I always invite public comment, is there any public comment online for this issue? Or here in the room, anyone care to? Yes, please.
The only comment I want to make, I was at the meeting where he asked for $1,500 and you all voted no against it, but now he's coming back and asking for $700. When it was $1,500, everybody said we can't afford it. And now you've all changed your mind. Is it because he's on the council, or is it because it's a Kiwanis and you've done it for 20 years? That's my only question. The thing is, you already voted not to give him anything, and now you're changing your mind.
Well, it does make sense. He was asking for $1,500. Now he's only asking for $700.
No, I know.
It's garnering a majority.
I don't know where you got $4,500. I was at that meeting.
We don't either. Anyway, good point. Anyway, any other comments?
But I think it was a good thing.
Excellent thing. I agree. If not, Sarah, please call a roll.
Okay. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Mayor Redmond?
Yes.
Counselor White?
Yes.
Counselor Davidson?
Yes.
Counselor Levy? Was it a no or you not voting?
That's right, you abstained.
Conflict, I can't.
Yes, abstain.
You abstained.
Counselor Andrews?
Yes.
All right.
Could I just say something? I would feel it would be best next year if someone else from council came to represent the Kiwanis, other than having someone on council. It does kind of, to this gentleman's point.
Right.
Well, notice, the fact that he was on council, we still turned it down. I do point that out. We're frugal, but anyway, understood.
Well, I think that would have been better. This year was like an hour before the city council meeting, I was notified I needed to bring it to city council.
Yeah, it was very last minute, and anyway, luckily it was a great event.
Next year, we'll get somebody else to do it.
Are there further staff communications before I go on to communications? Okay, we'll do council communications, agenda item number 6 on the agenda. Carol.
I had a couple things. Hope everybody had a great summer. I spent most of my time with grandchildren and family, so it was wonderful. I listened to a TCAB meeting today. I encourage everybody, if you can, to listen into the meetings that we have in our city, if you don't already. I was a little confused on some things, and I know I brought them to Mike, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention, is Public Works had come up with this plan of 30%, 60%, 90%, and it never went back to the TCAB at 30% or 60%. It went back at 90% where it was almost all ready to go to the next level. And so I would like to encourage that our committees get information more in advance instead of at the last minute. And they're more involved, because that's why we have the committees, is the committees make recommendations to us. So I wanted to bring that to the attention, so I was just wondering why. And it just caused a lot of frustration, not only amongst the members of the committee, but also with the staff, and I would hate to put anybody in that position, and so. But they were talking about the street, and I always get that wrong, but it's the one that's in front of Starbucks. So we're talking about the confluence line. And they were talking, Marley had brought up that they were talking about 10 feet lanes for vehicles and 6 feet for sidewalks and bikes. My concern is that when I looked up some information, that yes, trucks are like 8.5, 9 feet long, but we also talking about mirrors. And if we're, I just don't think the 10 feet is wide enough. And I'm concerned for like semis that are going to be going back there. I'm concerned about fire trucks, just big vehicles, whatever it is going back there. And then just causing some issues by going on the bike lane or sidewalk, or going in the middle. I know they talked about some kind of landscape, I think, in the middle, but I was a little confused on that, because there was talk about it and then there was not talk about it. And so if you're going to have that in the middle and there's very little space, something's going to go. And if I'm a truck driver and I've got a biker on this side and I can't make it, those trees are going to go. I got to go somewhere. Right? If I slam on my brakes, I gotta go somewhere. And so when I looked up on, just like on some research that I did, the US highway lanes are 12 feet wide. And it was recommended that the streets anywhere in cities be anywhere from 11 to 12 feet, just because of the large vehicles. So I'm concerned about how those big vehicles are going back there. I just wanted you to know that I don't think 10 feet is wide enough. And I don't understand, do we really need 6 feet? I question that. But I am not a biker. I am a walker. But, so I don't know. That was one. And the other one was, I have talked to some committee members who had some complaints of, they felt that their voice wasn't being heard, or when subjects go to some of the committees, they're not being asked to vote for it. They're being presented of, well, you know, we're doing you a favor, we're showing you this information. We're not asking you to vote on it, we're not asking you to do anything. But then, if we're doing that, then why are we presenting to committees who really are supposed to give their recommendations to the council? So I had that. And then just the third one, I would recommend if we could have like all the committees that we have, just 1 month, every month, you know, like Parks comes in September every month or every year. You know, you just spread that out, and then you say you have a half hour to present to us. What are your goals this year? What are you wanting the council to help you with? Do you have anything that support you need from us, and how we can help you? I thought that would be a good idea. The other one is there's a letter that we got, right? Somebody had written some notes. So one of the questions here was, what programs has the city council cut back on or eliminated due to the increased expenses? So I would really encourage that if we're cutting back on things, which we are, and we're asking people to pass this levy, we really have to look and really stick to the budget. And I, for one, when the budget year comes next year, I want to really sit down and look line by line if we have to, and I don't care if it's 4 days. If we're asking the citizens to help and the citizens to help pay for these things that we are providing, then we need to also show that we are doing our best diligence with our finances. Especially if we're asking somebody who's on a fixed income that now you have to pay this bill, it's higher. So I think we really have to be concerned about that. That's it.
Yeah, I just wanted to like touch base on your kind of comment real quick. It was the Kiwanis came to us very quickly with their event like a week away, and the information that we were given was that it could cost up to $4,500, and if the city basically just didn't have a good way to bill for that, and so the city ends up eating the cost over what we give. And whether that was good information or bad information, the consequence of our decision that night, essentially costing the city more money than we were willing to give, was just, for me, something that I wasn't willing to do, to burden the city and the people with that. So once we got the right information, it became glaringly obvious that it was a mistake, and so I'm glad we were able to rectify it. So again, I echo what Jesse said, maybe have somebody else come present, but also do it in a much earlier time. And I think that they get it. So I'm not worried about that, but I just wanted to like kind of touch base on that. I was sort of the loudest voice, I felt like, for that. So I felt kind of responsible.
I think somebody else approaching for the Kiwanis rather than a council member.
Yeah, and then it's just, obviously, it's the look of it and everything like that. We do a really good job of avoiding that as much as we possibly can. So, and we appreciate them.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, and I think that, to Mike's thought of like, hey, come and apply for this and give us your presentation at one time, I think is a good way for us to like look at everything at once and decide what is the best use of our sponsorship funds that we should say that's going to be the biggest benefit to the city rather than one after another. I think that is a really good way of letting us do that and making a decision kind of at once with all the information presented ahead of us. I think that is a good idea, and I'd like to see that in the future. I just wanted to say that we have an election coming up for everybody that is running for city council. I know Zach is. I made a last minute decision that I wanted to run also to kind of fill up. I just want to wish everybody luck that's out there in the ethos also. I'm looking forward to hopefully move the city forward in the future. That's all I got.
Okay, thanks. Well, it was a great summer. It was a nice break. Our break consists of not having a second council meeting in July and not having a first council meeting in August. And gives us all a chance to think about the city and everything that's going on. And we also we were blessed with a wonderful summer. It's still going on. Great, cool nights and not too warm days. So long may it continue. I just want to point out, upcoming, next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday is our September 1st Friday. Look forward to that. And there was a great one in August, and look forward to the one in September. I think that's really all. Thank everyone for being here, and back to work, okay? Glenn.
Yeah, I just was gonna piggyback on Carol's comments on, URA is probably the biggest thing, most important thing we have. And it's like, I wanna make sure TCAP's in the loop and the council. I didn't know that road was 90% planned, so we should know that, if at all possible. And we have to know that, we're the ones that have to answer to the citizens. And I've been also seeing all the negative comments about the 2nd Street pedestrian bridge, and I'm worried that's gonna, spill into our open house. And I think maybe we need to have that on an agenda so we can find out what's going on. I know there's a committee that I heard is looking at this thing. It's like the 4 councilors that voted for that bridge are no longer even on council.
So I think it's important to put that out there in the netherworld so they understand that this is an ODOT Pathways grant that was approved long ago. And so there is no bridge money. There's no plan for the bridge. It's just a federal Pathways grant to plan for or vision a bridge at that location. So if at some point in time in the future, there's some federal earmark for a pedestrian bridge in the Northwest region, Portland or what have you, we would have an application to apply for some federal money for a bridge. There is no Troutdale dollars going to this project. This is federal Pathways grant, RAFA money, RFP money. It's nothing out of our pocket.
Just like bad timing.
Yeah, terrible timing, because I saw a lot of those comments too, and I was like, oh my gosh, because some of the comments I saw is, why don't you take the money from the bridge and put it into your public safety? And there is no money from the bridge to put in anywhere. So I just want to thank you for that opportunity. Sorry to interject.
And I noticed Jesse did not reapply. I sit next to this man, and I just want to say what a guy you are to work with. You keep an even, calm demeanor no matter what. That's appreciated.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
On that, I think one of the reasons I chose not to reapply was I felt like I was not able to dedicate the time to attend all these committees that are going on a routine basis. So I felt like, I was missing information that would be vital from our committee members. And with what Carol said, with having a committee, every month show up and tell us what they're working on would have gone a long way for me in my knowledge of the overall work. So that's a great idea, Carol. So I would be a proponent of that. And then also, I heard Beaver Creek Bridge is being worked on, but if you go on Google Maps, there's like nothing on there. And I know I use a lot of that to just plan walks around the area. So I don't know how you get it on to Google Maps or anything like that, but it would be beneficial, I think, for us to actually have it on there so you can see, oh yeah, I can walk.
I think we just updated, or we're in the process of updating our Metro Regional Trails map. And I'm hoping they share their GIS information with Google to show those trails, but I'm not sure if they do. But yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you for your vote. And your comment about the Mountain Jazz Festival. Gresham did not support them at all this last year. And so they sent more of their events to Edgefield and down here a little bit just to compensate us for our major contributions. So I think we can cut back and they can go harder against Gresham to get something since they're basically setting Gresham and doing events in Gresham. And then on your comment, sir, on the public safety fee. So that public safety fee comes off of the water bill, sewer bill. And it's my understanding that once the levy goes in, we can't put back a public safety fee on your water bill.
He said that when you change councils, the new council could recommend it and get it back on there. My point was, there's nothing to stop you guys from putting it back on there even though this levy passes. That was the point I was trying to make. That was from Mike. Mike said that.
Yeah, and Ed said too. A current council can't obligate a future council. So yes, this council has declared that they will remove the public safety fee if the levy passes. But this council can't force a future council not to do it. Right, so we could be in the best intention, we could mean the best, but I don't want to say something that's not true, right? So what we said is we will remove the public safety fee. This council will remove that public safety fee. And that is true, because that's what we're promising to the people.
And that was only for 2 years, right?
It's a 5-year.
No, removal from this council was only for 2 years.
Oh, it's until the majority, well, technically, it would be November, right? So
3,
yeah,
not 4, so it would be the
right.
next, it's the next cycle.
So the next council that came in could then, yes, you are correct. I mean, and that was what Ed was saying, that's what I was saying too, is we have to be cautious in what we say and how we present this, because a current council can't obligate a future council and vice versa. So
I'll just say, if we promise that we're gonna remove that fee, which I will promise, we better not put it back on. Right. Even if I agree there's nothing to stop a council from doing it in future, but they better not.
there'd be a lot of hell to pay.
They better not.
If that were the case. So there would also be no need projected, because the contracts that we have with Multnomah County and Gresham are for that period of time. So they should extend through that period. There shouldn't be any bumps in those contracts. Should be good for that 5-year levy period.
Plus, if it passes, that your property taxes go up, so the money you're getting from that would go up too, correct?
The money from what?
$1.60 per thousand. Your house taxes go up $5,000 a year, you're getting even more money.
So we projected it out on what it would be, and in the beginning, for one, all the money goes against the $10+ million. And so I think the money raised would be about $3 million each year. And it might go up the 3% per year for measures 5 and 50, right?
Yeah.
But that money is going straight into the cost for public safety, which over and above that cost and then some. And so ultimately the idea was that it would cover the 5-year projected delta between the cost for public service and where our tax, property tax is. So, and then we averaged that out. And so in the first couple of years, we should have more money than what the delta is, but on the last 2 years, we'll actually have less money than what the delta is. So it should break it pretty even toward the end.
Got it. Thank you.
And I'll have those numbers at the open house. I'll put them up there.
Yeah, 6 o'clock.
All right, Zach.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really glad Carol mentioned what she did about the committees. I actually had that on my list to talk to too. I just wanted to reiterate kind of what I said back when we brought on new committee members. That's essentially that I think, wholeheartedly believe that the committee work that our community does is vital to our success as a city. It's how I got my start in any public service like this. Volunteering and the stuff that you learn, the stuff that you get involved with, and having a say and the involvement that you have with like-minded people or people you don't agree with, but just you get all facets of the city to come together. I think it's incredibly important work to take a look at anything that we do or anything that staff presents, corresponding down those alleys. So I definitely want to encourage chairs of committees and planning commission and any of our other volunteer committees that if you don't feel like we're doing enough or that enough is getting done rather, or that we could be doing more, or that you're not necessarily fulfilling your role in the way you think you should be, I want to encourage you to feel free to reach out to me, text, call, email. I want to know about it if there's anything more I can do to help. But realistically, I encourage you to take initiative too. You can talk with staff, you can set up a meeting on a monthly basis to come like we kind of talked about, if you would like. I think after that meeting, one of the things I had said that, or asked, that kind of went unanswered was like, where do we go from here? How do we make sure that this is actually productive and making sure that we do have kind of a follow-up, so to speak, and we can continue to get things done together. So I would like to see that. When it comes to the Kiwanis thing, I think the bigger picture is just, I would just want to say too, if we're unsure of what numbers we have, if we have a range and we're not able to pin it down, and I appreciate your apology, like I get it, mistakes happen, but we make decisions on the fly based off of that. And I just want to make sure that if you don't know, just tell us you don't know. That way we're not going off of incorrect information. That kind of stuff doesn't happen. But it's all good. Like I said, things happen going forward. Hopefully things work out better. It's all right. But you mentioned the election. Realistically, we're in the middle of some of the most important work I think this council's taken on in a long, long time when it comes to the Confluence side, like Lynn mentioned. Public safety and everything like that. I feel like a lot is left undone and we're so deep in it. I just want to do my best to make sure that the community is provided for and voice is heard. So that's definitely why I decided to throw my hat in the ring again. But I appreciate you guys. You had a good summer. Sounds like you did. And that's all I got. Oh, actually, on that note, work session. Did we have one of those coming up?
September 22nd.
And we think it'd be a good idea to tack on some of the public safety points to that work session so we kind of have a bit of more of a consensus on current information, everything going into our forum. That way we're a little bit more organized.
Possibly. On September 8th, we have a pretty light agenda, and I was talking to the mayor about it earlier, but I don't know if, anyway, I was thinking about talking to the mayor about it. We only have like one or two items on September 8th that seem pretty light, and it might be an opportunity to look at some of the other planning items that are coming forth, like the urban tree thing and just kind of get a briefing on what it is prior to the hearing in October, when we're planning to bring that back forth. So right now I have our planners taking it down through all the committees throughout September, and then hopefully bringing that back to us. Unfortunately, October is going to be a really busy, it's shaping up to be a very busy month. I need to do some more digging on what the IGA says and just check with Ed, and there's some other little finite things that we need to just hash out and just make sure that we're all on the same page, because we might not even have to discuss it in October if that's the case, or we might have to discuss it in October. So,
Well, I think Zach is proposing that you give us a prelude to what would be presented to the public at the town hall on public safety, not the tree thing too, but if there's time. But that's the big one coming up, and that would be a chance for us to make sure that it sounds like it's a fair and even unbiased presentation. I realize that's coming up pretty fast, but it would be good to get some things going.
yeah, I mean, most of it's already been pulled together. So I think all the data for police, fire, everything, it's all been pulled together.
It'd be good to give us a presentation.
Yeah.
And we can talk about, I'm meeting on next Monday with you, and well, next Monday, is that a holiday?
It is a holiday.
We'll schedule something next week, but before the 8th.
Monday's not.
Oh, no, it's not. It's September 7th is the holiday.
Oh, good.
Because we have an extra day in there.
Yeah.
We kicked it.
So we can talk about that, but I think Zach's idea of having a presentation on what would be presented at the town hall, while the numbers may be ready, it would be good to get a prelude.
Yeah.
A preview.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and the tree thing we can talk about too. But anyway, good idea. The work session that is scheduled for the 22nd is about the Halsey rezone fiasco, if you will, that we need to understand better. And that's vitally important, and it's coming up fast. It'll be coming up later in October. So that's what that's about. And I don't know if we get diverted to public safety, might take away from the importance of that. If there's time, we could include it. But
I mostly just want to make sure that there's a consensus, and we, again, have kind of a prelude ahead of the town hall, so we're all organized and can come with our best foot forward.
well, it probably wouldn't hurt to do it on the 8th for the council meeting and at the work session. Again, just to get a reality check on what we're going to be presenting, because that's not,
So you want me to?
it's easier to be long-winded and boring, and much harder to have something that there's a consensus is fair and to the point and explains the complicated issues we've got. That's really hard, so.
Too soon.
Couple practice runs.
Have it tomorrow.
Yeah. Anyway, Zach, I would entertain a motion.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.